Have you ever thought about how vengeance can have a face, and that face can be death itself? Well, in Breaking Bad, that idea takes shape in one of television's most iconic scenes. The explosion that sent Gus Fring, the coldest, most calculated man in the series, straight into eternity. Today, we revisit the moment when Walter White proved he was willing to go to the limit, and when Gus's empire collapsed in flames. Gustavo Fring was always an enigma, a flawless businessman in public, owner of a respectable fast food chain, but behind that polite smile hid a true crime emperor. Unlike other explosive villains, Gus was methodical, patient, almost invisible, the kind of man who, by never losing his composure, seemed invincible. And that aura of invulnerability only made his death even more impactful. After all, who could have imagined that the man always 2 steps ahead, so disciplined and untouchable, would be taken down by what he despised most? Walter White's unpredictability. When Walter realized he couldn't face Gus directly, he did what he did best: manipulate, calculate, and engineer a trap worthy of a chemist-turned-war strategist. The result, an explosion that wasn't just physical, but symbolic. The hospital scene with Hector Salamanca is the turning point. Gus's old enemy, bound to a wheelchair and seemingly harmless, became the key to the final blow. Walter turned Hector's hatred into fuel for his vengeance. Ironic, isn't it? The proudest, most paranoid man in this series fell because he underestimated a rival with nothing but a bell. And when Gus entered the room, confident, convinced he was in control, the tension was almost unbearable. The ringing of the bell, Hector's defiant glare, and then the explosion. And let me take a quick break here. If you want to feel every sound detail of intense moments like this, you need the Sonos Beam Gen 2, the smart, compact soundbar. Imagine watching Breaking Bad and hearing the explosion, the footsteps, even Hector Salamanca's bell with absurd clarity. With immersive audio and compact design, it turns any room into a private theater. Sonos Beam Gen 2. Because every scene deserves to be lived at the volume of emotion. Back to the scene. Nothing surpasses the shock of what comes after the explosion. The camera focuses on the door in silence that drags for what feels like eternal seconds. And then Gus Fring appears, standing, calm as ever, adjusting his jacket. But a moment we all believed he survived, that somehow this man really was indestructible. But then the camera reveals the other side of his face, or rather, what was left of it, half consumed by the blast, exposing flesh, bone, death itself, walking beside him as he calmly strolled forward. It was like watching the very personification of cold discipline walking straight to its fall. That moment became history. A blend of horror and brilliance that only Breaking Bad could deliver. It wasn't just a death. It was a signature. Walter White proved he was willing to do anything, even blow up a hospital, to win. And Gus, the man who seemed eternal, discovered that even the most perfect order can be destroyed by chaos. This scene also marks Walter's final transformation. At that point, Heisenberg was no longer a mask. It was his true identity. The victory over Gus Fring symbolized that the chemistry teacher no longer existed. All that remained was the crime emperor, someone as calculating as Gus, but far more dangerous because he was driven by pride and vanity. And it's interesting how this explosion rippled through the entire series. For Jesse, it was proof that Walter was capable of anything, even manipulating innocent lives. For Gus's enemies, it was the dawn of chaos. And for fans, it was a reminder that Breaking Bad was never afraid to shock, to go beyond, to turn violence into art. In the end, Gus's death wasn't just the end of a character. It was the point where Breaking Bad stopped being a story about a man's downfall and became an epic about power, pride, and destruction. And I'll leave you with one final reflection. If even Gus Fring, with all his discipline and control, couldn't escape the flames of vengeance, can anyone really stay 2 steps ahead of the inevitable?